Welcome back, everybody, to Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. You can also follow us on YouTube. We've got some great video content. Our YouTube handle is at LA Rams Up. You can follow us on Instagram as well. I'm your host, Mark. Let's get to it. Welcome back, Ram fans. Our third episode of the week. We had that special episode on Thursday, our roundtable with Tom Courts and Paul Walia. We discussed all things Rams, looking back at the 2022 season and looking forward to 2023. Make sure you check that out. It's also available in video format on our YouTube channel. This episode going to work through two things, really. We're going to work through some notes in those AP Awards nominations. And then the second segment, we are going to preview the conference championship games. Before we get to those awards, real quickly, all of our news is really about coaching. The Rams made it official. Mike LaFleur is their new offensive coordinator. I think we were all kind of expecting that. It was just a matter of the Rams making it official. The Panthers have hired Frank Reich as their new head coach. Nathaniel Hackett hired as the Jets' offensive coordinator. That's a position vacated by Mike LaFleur. And rumor is the Jets are going to try to make a trade for Aaron Rodgers, reuniting him with Nathaniel Hackett. Remember, he was a longtime offensive coordinator for the Packers. And rumor has that the Broncos will be hiring DeMeco Ryans, the San Francisco defensive coordinator, as their next head coach. Now, that's just a rumor. We'll see if it really happens. Before we move on, let's call this a public service announcement. You call yourself a Rams fan and you think you know Rams history pretty well, well, check out our YouTube channel. Between now and the Super Bowl, I am going to be sharing Super Bowl trivia questions about the Rams' 5 trips to the Super Bowl. See how well you can answer them. Should be a lot of fun, so check that out. And don't forget, we are still running our series of mock drafts. We'll be doing that between now and the real thing on a pretty regular basis. So let's go through these AP award nominations. I went over this with my special assistant. Going to give you our thoughts on them. AP Most Valuable Player, the nominations were Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, and Patrick Mahomes. This is one of the awards that we disagreed on. I'm rolling with Joe Burrow. My special assistant, Matt, he's going with Patrick Mahomes. And I have a feeling he's going to end up being right. But this could be the year for Joe Burrow. Now, it's not based on playoff performance, regular season, and that's why you might lean towards Mahomes. But Joe Burrow is something special. I'm not sure that Bengal team would be anything special without Joe Burrow. Chiefs, on the other hand, I think they still have a pretty darn good team without Mahomes. Now, don't get me wrong, Mahomes is incredible, and he's what takes them to the next level. I think you get where I'm coming from here. I just think Burrow is more valuable to his team than is Mahomes. AP Defensive Player of the Year, Nick Bosa, Chris Jones, Micah Parsons. Both of us didn't have to think long on this one. It should be Micah Parsons. He is a dynamite defensive player. Has to be accounted for in every play. Getting into that Aaron Donald stratosphere as far as his impact on a game from the defensive side of the ball. AP Offensive Player of the Year, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, Patrick Mahomes. Justin Jefferson had a year for the ages, 128 catches, 1,809 yards, and 8 TDs. Now that's a pretty tough crowd, especially with Hurts and Mahomes, but we both went with Jefferson. AP Offensive Rookie of the Year, you got Brock Purdy, Kenneth Walker III, and Garrett Wilson. We're rolling with Garrett Wilson. Wilson ended up with 83 catches, 1,103 yards, and 4 TDs. We thought Chris Olave would have been in this discussion as well, 72 catches, over 1,000 yards, and 4 TDs. And what Brock Purdy did was pretty special, but he didn't really light it up statistically. I think he'd be the first one to admit that he He is just making this machinery around him work at an efficient level. And Kenneth Walker III, an up-and-coming running back, but we're going with Garrett Wilson. Pretty impressive rookie year. AP Defensive Rookie of the Year, Sauce Gardner, Aiden Hutchinson, and Tariq Woolen. At first glance, you got to look at all those interceptions Woolen had, but Sauce Gardner has already proven himself to be one of the top 2 or 3 cornerbacks in the league. As a rookie, going with Sauce Gardner. AP Comeback Player of the Year, you got Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, and Geno Smith. We both felt it was between Smith and Barkley, and I picked Barkley. Had a great year for the Giants, and Geno Smith, my special assistant, selected him, the highest completion percentage in the National Football League, when everybody thought he was just a placeholder for the next guy. So I understand the selection of Geno Smith, but I went with Barkley. AP Coach of the Year, this one's tough. Brian Daboll of the Giants, Sean McDermott of the Bills, Doug Peterson of the Jags, Kyle Shanahan of the 49ers, and Nick Sirianni of the Eagles. Now, Shanahan and Sirianni had a lot more to work with than these other guys. Sean McDermott, I don't think he ever really got that team playing at the level that you expected after that first game. Brian Daboll, if any team played above their expectations, above what their roster would suggest, it's Brian Daboll and the Giants. And Doug Peterson turned that franchise around potentially. A proven coach comes in and gets that franchise, the Jags, pointed in the right direction finally. My special assistant rolled with Doug Peterson. I'm selecting Brian Daboll for the AP Coach of the Year. And we both agreed on the AP Assistant Coach of the Year. The candidates were Ben Johnson of the Lions, the offensive coordinator, D'Amico Ryans, the 49ers defensive coordinator, and Shane Steichen, the Eagles offensive coordinator. It's got to be Ben Johnson and that Lions offense, Jared Goff and those young receivers, a couple of really productive running backs. That team was so much fun and so productive and so exciting, really putting some life into the Lions franchise. They should have been in the playoffs facing the 49ers in that first round, except for some weird calls in that Rams-Seahawks game, and I would have loved to see this offense against the 49er D. That would have been a lot of fun. So, yeah, it's Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator, as the AP Assistant Coach of the Year. Next up, our preview of the Conference Championship games. 4 NFL teams, 2 Conference Championship games, and only a few more shots to win big with DraftKings. Counting down to Super Bowl 57, new customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. Personally, I'm rolling with the Bengals and Eagles to meet in Super Bowl 57. Not a new customer? You can feel the conference championship thrills with stepped-up same-game parlays. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TPPN. New customers can bet $5 on the conference championships and get $200 in free bets instantly. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code TPPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Let's talk about these 2 conference championship games, the 49ers at the Eagles, and then later in the day, the Bengals at the Chiefs. But let's talk about this AFC game first, shall we? And by the way, this is just the 3rd time the spreads for both conference championship games have been under 3 points. These could both be really good games. Bengals at Chiefs. Bengals went from a 3-point underdog to a favorite in the blink of an eye. A lot of money coming down on the Bengals after that opening line. The over-under was 46.5 last I saw. Weather, upper 20s. The Bengals surprisingly lead the series 18 wins, 14 losses, including the last 3. And the last time they played in December, 27-24. Same score that the Bengals won by last year in the playoffs in overtime, 27-4. The Chiefs have the number 1 offense and the number 1 passing offense. The Bengals, the number 8 offense and the number 5 passing offense. Both defenses statistically middle of the pack. That would suggest the score might get beyond that 46.5 over-under line. Who is a player on the Bengals you got to watch out for? A guy that sometimes we don't give enough credit to. How about their kicker, Evan McPherson? This guy is pretty clutch. 5 for 5 from outside the 50, but surprisingly only 9 for 13 from 40 to 49 yards. And the Chiefs, they may have to lean on Jerick McKinnon more than usual, especially if Mahomes is struggling on that ankle. He has 72 rushes for 291 yards and 1 TD. Look for him to get some play out of the backfield in the passing game and maybe a few extra carries as well to take the pressure off Mahomes. My prediction, hey, the last 2 games, it's been 27 to 24. Why wouldn't I pick a score of 27 to 24 in favor of the Bengals? And I got to tell you, it's kind of silly picking scores of games. Is this the only sport we do that in? Isn't it enough to just say, hey, the Bengals are going to win in a close game? That's really what I'm trying to say here. Who knows what the score is going to be? 49ers at the Eagles. Eagles by 2.5 last I saw, over under 45.5. 2 really good defenses here. The weather in the low 30s, could be showers late. 49ers lead the series, 20 wins, 14 losses, and a tie. The last time they played early in the 2021 season, 49ers won that one 17-11. This is the 3rd-ranked offense, the Eagles, against the 1st-ranked defense. The Eagles rushing for 147 yards a game, a lot of that due to Jalen Hurts. The Niners only giving up 77 yards rushing per game, so something's got to give in this one. On the other side, this is the 5th-ranked offense, the 49ers, against the 2nd-ranked defense. Niners have a little bit more of a balanced offense. The Eagles, excellent passing D. Who's the secret star of the Niners? Sometimes we forget about Brandon Ayuk. 78 catches for 1,015 yards and 8 TDs. And who is the Eagles' secret star in this game? It could be Devonta Smith. 95 catches for 1,196 yards and 7 TDs this year. Devonta Smith is the type of receiver that could exploit the 49ers if they have a weakness is defending the deep pass. And just a side note here, stumbled across this statistic. I gave you Brandon Ayuk stats, 78 catches for 1,015 yards and 8 TDs. T. Higgins, playing in that afternoon game for the Bengals, 74 catches, 1,029 yards, and 7 TDs. These 2 guys, Brandon Ayuk and T. Higgins, almost identical statistically. It'll be interesting to see if Charles Omenihu will play for the 49ers. He's an important rotational player. He was arrested Monday afternoon on suspicion of misdemeanor domestic violence. And this is the type of thing the NFL is very sensitive about, and rightfully so. He was listed as limited in practice, so that'd be a little bit of a ding on the 49ers defensive line rotation. Now, we have to recognize one thing about the 49ers. They are on quite a roll, quite the winning streak. But something we have to recognize here, going into Philadelphia for a conference championship game is a tough draw, a tough place to play. And with all the success the 49ers have had this year, I took a look at their road schedule to see how they've done. And I don't know if we can take away anything from their road schedule. Their road games this year consisted of the Texans, Bears, Broncos, Panthers, Falcons, and their 3 divisional opponents. And of course, they lost to the Bears and the Broncos. So, not sure what to make of this. 49ers coming in with a big head of steam, but have to be concerned about their performance on the road, or actually the lack of challenges on the road this year. And going into Philadelphia, this will be a supreme challenge for them. My prediction, Eagles 30, 49ers 21. A little bit higher scoring than most would predict, I think. Jalen Hurts is something the 49ers haven't had to deal with yet, and I think he's going to have a big game. I also have 2 prop bets for you. Patrick Mahomes, the over-under on the passing yardage is 284.5 yards. Take the under on that. And Marquez Valdez-Scantling, 26.5 yards receiving. Take the under on that as well. Those are two prop bets I feel pretty comfortable about. Hey, create a DraftKings account and use promo code TPPN. Place those bets. See how they do. So that's what I'm predicting. An Eagles-Bengals Super Bowl, and that'll be a doozy. That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. Visit our website at ramsup.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Our handle is at laramsup.com. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.
Music courtesy of the YouTube audio library. Tracks featuring Bar Crawl by Track Tribe, Buckeye Bonzai by Vans in Japan, and Crimson Fly by Huma.